This story is based on true events. My name is Anna, and for a long time, I thought my name was just that. A common name, a common life, a common family, until the night everything turned into a before and an after. Before, I was the kind of person who complained about small things. I complained about traffic, about the pile of dishes, about the neighbor's noise, about the wrinkled school uniform. I complained about the cold when it rained and the heat when the sun was out. I even complained about the way Miguel folded the towels, as if towels were a serious subject. Miguel was my husband. He had an easy laugh, the kind that seems to light up a room, and he had a way of looking at me that calmed me down, even when I was in my storm mode. Sometimes I talked too much, thought too much, ran too much, and he stayed. He always stayed. And there was our daughter, Leah. Leah was the kind of child who seemed to be born knowing the world is big, but choosing to believe it's good anyway. She was 8 years old. 8. I repeat that because when you lose someone, numbers start to hurt like shards of glass. 8 years is so little, and at the same time, when I close my eyes, I can see every detail of her little face, as if she were still running around the house with different socks on each foot. Because, Mom, I decided that today I am two people. That week had been chaotic. Miguel had spent days traveling for work and came back tired, but trying to hide it. I was on the edge between I can handle it and I can't. And Leah was in that phase of asking difficult questions, as if the universe had handed her a manual on how to take apart an adult's mind. Late in the afternoon, the rain started slowly. First a drizzle, then thicker drops hitting the window, and then that constant sound that turns everything gray inside and out. Miguel appeared at the kitchen door with his phone in his hand and a somewhat serious expression. "Honey, do we really need to go to your mom's house today?" he asked, trying to be gentle. I dried my hands on the cloth and took a breath. "My mom has been alone since my dad passed away. You know that," I said. He nodded. He didn't argue. He never argued about other people's pain. "I know. It's just this rain." And then Leah appeared out of nowhere, wearing a yellow raincoat that looked like a giant duckling. "I'm going too," she announced, as if she had been invited to a secret mission. "Leah, it's almost night," I said. "So what?" "Night is just the day wearing pajamas," she replied, with the absolute certainty of someone who truly believes it. Miguel laughed. I almost laughed too. "Night is just the day wearing pajamas," he repeated. "Where do you learn these things?" Leah shrugged. "I invent them. Inventing is faster than learning." I looked at the two of them and thought, this is it. This is what life is. It's not big moments. It's this kind of sentence that seems silly at the time and later becomes a treasure. While Miguel grabbed the keys, Leah ran to get her teddy bear. A slightly worn-out bear, with one eye a bit crooked from so many hugs. She called the bear Captain, because she said he protected us. I remember this with a lump in my throat, because if I could go back in time, I would have hugged that captain and apologized for believing I was in control of anything. Before leaving, I checked if I had the umbrella, if Leah had her seatbelt on, if I had turned off the gas. I was always the detail person, the person who checks twice. That night, I checked twice, and even so, the drive to my mom's house wasn't long, but there was a stretch that always made me tense when it rained. A sharper curve, a slight downhill slope, asphalt that seemed to get too slick. Miguel drove. I preferred him driving because he was calmer. In the car, the sound of rain on the glass was almost hypnotic. The streetlights reflected on the road, and everything looked like a trembling mirror. Leah was in the back seat, humming an invented song with words that didn't exist. "Leah," I said, turning my face slightly toward her. "Are you happy?" "Yep," she answered simply. "Why?" "Because you guys are here, and because I have Captain, and because Grandma is gonna make cake." Miguel glanced at me quickly and gave a sideways smile as if saying, "See? That's it." I held his hand for a moment. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" "For being you." He squeezed my hand. "I'm lucky too, Anna." The rain got heavier. Visibility dropped. I remember the sound of the windshield wipers going back and forth, back and forth. I remember the smell of the car, a mix of Miguel's cologne with the fabric softener I used, and a faint smell of wet plastic from Leah's raincoat. I remember Miguel's phone ringing and him ignoring it. I remember Leah asking, "Dad, when I grow up, can I marry Mom?" Miguel laughed out loud. "No, my love. Mom is already my wife." "Then I'll marry you." "Can't do that either." "Then I'll marry Captain," she decided, very serious. I turned back and saw her hugging the bear tightly. "It's going to be a great wedding," I said. "Will there be cake?" she asked. "Yes," Miguel answered. "There will be cake, Brigadero, and everyone will dance." "Even you?" Leah teased. "Even me." And I thought, I wanted to keep this in a jar. I wanted to freeze this moment, but the world doesn't work like that. When we entered that stretch of the curve, I felt my whole body go on alert. It wasn't fear, it was instinct. I straightened my posture as if that could hold the car to the ground. Miguel slowed down. "It's slippery," he warned. "I know," I replied, almost whispering. That was when I saw lights. It wasn't just the street lights. It was a bright headlight coming from the opposite direction, much faster than it should have been. A flash that grew and shook as if the car on the other side was unstable. Miguel frowned. "What is this guy doing?" he murmured. I felt the air get heavy. Everything happened in seconds, but in my memory, it happens in slow motion. Like a nightmare the brain repeats to torture itself. The car on the other side invaded the lane a little, not a lot. It was a little, and it's terrifying to think that a little can kill. Miguel pulled the steering wheel to the right, trying to keep distance. The tire hit a part of the road that seemed smoother, wetter, and the car skidded slightly. "Miguel!" I called out. He tried to correct it. I heard Leah in the back seat. "Mom?" Her voice had something I had never heard before. Raw fear, without makeup. Miguel said, "Hold on, Anna." The car slid more. The sound was strange, as if the asphalt had turned into glass. I felt my heart beating in my throat. I wanted to scream, "Stop!" But to whom? To the car? To the rain? To fate? The other car's headlight passed very close, too close. I saw through the window a blur of metal and water, and then came the impact. It wasn't just one noise, it was a mix of sounds. A crash, the glass vibrating, a snap, as if the world had cracked. The seatbelt locked onto my body with force. The air left my chest. I felt my head hit the headrest lightly, and then the sensation of spinning. I heard Leah scream my name. "Mom!" And I tried to turn to her, but everything was spinning. Miguel let out a "no" that seemed to come from the depths of his soul. The car spun and hit again, this time with a violence I never imagined possible. The airbag deployed in a white explosion that smelled like powder and rubber. I felt my face being pushed back, my eyes watering instantly. I couldn't breathe. I tried to take a breath and tasted metal in my mouth. I heard the rain, as if it were inside my head. And then, for a second, silence. A silence so absurd, it seemed like the universe had muted the sound. And then, a quiet sound, a moan. I didn't know if it was me or someone else. "Miguel?" I tried to speak, but my voice came out weak. I reached out my hand. I felt Miguel's arm. He was there, but he wasn't moving like before. There was a strange weight. "Miguel, talk to me," I begged. From the back seat, I heard Leah's little cry, a short whimper, as if she were trying to hold it back. "Mom, it hurts." I will never forget that. I will never forget how the world can be reduced to 3 words. "Mom, it hurts." I tried to turn around, but my body wasn't responding right. I tried to undo the seatbelt. My hands were shaking. I forced it. "Leah, Mommy is here," I said, trying to sound strong. Trying. "Where's Dad?" she asked, her voice broken. I looked at Miguel. His face was turned slightly away and I couldn't see clearly. Was there blood? I don't know. I know there were shadows and lights and the rain and the airbag, and I couldn't focus. I heard voices outside, people shouting, a car stopping, doors slamming. "It's okay," someone said, but the voice seemed far away, and I thought, it's not okay. It's not. I managed to undo the seatbelt and leaned over, with difficulty, to try to reach Leah. I stretched my arm back and felt her little hand searching for mine, desperate, as if I were a rope in a rough sea. "Hold my hand, my love," I said. "Hold tight." "I'm scared, Mom." "I am too," I confessed. "But we're going to get through this together. Do you hear me?" I didn't know if it was true. I just needed it to be. Someone opened the door on my side with force. The rain came in along with the cold and reality. "Ma'am, don't move," a man spoke. I only saw an outline, a flashlight. "Can you hear me?" I could, but my body didn't seem to be mine. "My daughter," I spoke, desperate. "Please, my daughter. We're going to get her out," he said. "Stay calm." I tried to look at the back seat. I saw Leah's yellow raincoat. I saw the teddy bear on the floor. And I saw her face, half hidden, and her eyes searching for mine. "Mom!" she called again. "I'm here!" I screamed, now unable to hold back. On the other side, more people. I heard someone say ambulance and someone say fast. I heard a sentence that gives me chills to this day because it hit like a hammer. The driver is trapped. The driver. Miguel. I tried to get up, but an enormous pain shot through my body. A shock. I felt as if something had broken inside me. I tried to move my legs and nothing. Nothing. It was as if my legs had vanished from my consciousness. I started to panic. "I can't feel my legs," I said, voice trembling. "I can't feel them." "Ma'am, look at me," the man said. "Breathe. We're going to take care of you." But I didn't want them to take care of me. I wanted Miguel. I wanted Leah. I wanted to go back 5 minutes. I heard Leah crying louder. "Mom, I'm cold. Cover her." I screamed to whoever was listening. "Please cover her." Someone put a blanket on her. I saw a big hand adjusting the blanket. And then I started to get dizzy. My vision began closing in at the edges. The sound got distorted, as if I were underwater. I held Leah's hand as long as I could. "Leah, look at me," I spoke, forcing my voice not to disappear. "Is Captain there?" "Yeah," she answered, sobbing. "He's on the floor. Ask someone to pick him up, okay? He can't stay on the floor in the rain. He's family." She tried to laugh, but it turned into a cry. "Mom, I love you," I said, with a strange urgency, as if every word were a warning. "I love you the size of the sky." She squeezed my hand. "I love you the size of the universe." And I blacked out. When I woke up, I didn't know where I was. The light was too white. The smell was hospital, that smell that is a mix of cleanliness and fear. I blinked and it felt like there was sand in my eyes. I tried to make sense of the sounds. A constant beep, footsteps, muffled voices, someone saying my name as if it were fragile. "Anna! Anna, are you awake?" I turned my face slowly. My throat was dry. I wanted to speak, but nothing came out. A woman appeared in my field of vision. She had her hair tied back and tired eyes. A nurse, I thought. She smiled, but it was a smile trying to be gentle, in a place where gentleness has to fight to exist. "You are in the hospital. You were in an accident. Do you understand?" I tried to nod. My head hurt. My whole body felt heavy. I wanted to move my hands. I managed a little. And then, like a lightning bolt, I remembered. Miguel. Leah. I tried to get up, but something held me down. Tubes, wires, pain. "My family," I managed to whisper. Where are they?" The nurse looked serious, not angry serious, human serious. She looked back, as if calling someone without speaking. "Anna, breathe, okay? Breathe with me." I felt my heart racing. "Where is Leah?" I asked. My voice came out thin. "Where is my daughter?" The nurse bit her lip, and in that gesture I understood before she said anything. My whole body froze. "No," I said, almost soundless. "No." A doctor walked in, a man in a white coat with a clipboard. Heavy eyes. He seemed to have rehearsed that conversation 1,000 times, and yet it still seemed to hurt. "Anna, I'm Dr. Henrique. I am so sorry for what you went through." I didn't want sorry. I wanted names. I wanted to hear, "They are okay." I wanted the impossible. "Say it," I begged. "Please, say it." He took a deep breath. "The accident was severe. You were all attended to quickly, but..." The word "but" opened a hole in the floor. "Your daughter," he started, and my vision went dark for a second. "And your husband, they didn't make it." I heard that, as if it wasn't about me, as if he were talking about someone else's life. "No," I said. "No. No, no, no." I started to cry without realizing it, a cry that didn't seem to come from me. It seemed to come from some ancient place, a place where human beings keep the screams that don't fit in their mouths. I talked to her. I sobbed. I held her hand. The doctor continued, voice low. "Anna, you also had severe injuries. We did everything we could, and we still will. But I need to tell you, your spinal cord was affected. We are still evaluating, but there is a high chance you won't move your legs again." I looked at him. I looked at him as if he had told me the world ended, and at the same time demanded that I get up and wash the dishes. "I can't feel my legs," I whispered. He nodded, slowly, and in that instant, something horrible happened inside me. The pain split in two. One part was a scream for Miguel and Leah. The other part was a void, a kind of abyss, where I realized that besides losing them, I had also lost my body as I knew it. I closed my eyes, and I saw Leah smiling before the rain got heavy. I saw Miguel holding my hand and saying, "I'm lucky too, Anna." I saw the teddy bear Captain lying on the ground, and I thought, without the courage to say it out loud, how am I going to continue existing in a world that took everything? But I didn't say it. I just cried. And in the middle of that crying, a strange memory came. Leah's voice, as if she were sitting right there in her yellow raincoat. "Mom, night is just the day wearing pajamas." I opened my eyes, startled, as if I could see her. There was no one. Just the beeping of the machines. Just the white light. Just me. And the after beginning. I can't say how long I lay there crying after that sentence from the doctor, because time, on that day, turned into something formless. I only remember a sequence of moments. The nurse's hand on my shoulder, someone adjusting my pillow, a voice saying, "Calm down," and me thinking that calm was a word from another planet. I wanted to see Leah. I wanted to see Miguel. And at the same time, I didn't want to look, because inside me, there was already a horrible certainty that there was nothing left to see. I need them," I said, in a thread of a voice. Dr. Henrique lowered the clipboard, as if it were too heavy. "Anna, we can call someone from your family, your mother, someone to stay with you." My mother. The idea of having to tell this to my mom seemed impossible, like I had to carry a mountain on my back, with legs I couldn't even feel anymore. I tried to move my toes. Nothing. I tried again, with anger, as if anger were a command. Nothing. And then came a sensation I can't explain properly. It wasn't just sadness. It was as if I had been ripped out of my own life, as if I had been left in an empty room with the walls closing in little by little. When my mom arrived, I recognized the sound before seeing her, the sound of her crying in the hallway. My mom always had a quiet cry, low, as if she were apologizing for feeling. That day, no. That day, her crying was big, uncontrolled, the kind of crying that doesn't fit in the chest. She ran into the room, and the first thing she did was hug me carefully, as if I were made of glass. My daughter, she repeated, unable to finish a sentence. I wanted to be strong for her. I tried, but then I remembered I didn't have the strength to even hold my own body. Mom, Leah, I whispered, and it was like pulling a thread that tears everything apart. She squeezed me tighter. I know, my love, I know. I stared at her face, looking for a crack of hope. A no. It was a mistake. But her look was the look of someone who had already seen the truth and now just wanted to protect me from it. I started to shake. It's not fair, I said. It's not fair. It was supposed to be me. It was supposed to be me. My mom held my face with both hands. Don't say that, Anna. But I wasn't speaking for drama. I was speaking because it was the cruelest logic in the world. If someone had to stay, why me? Why me? Who in that moment couldn't even get out of bed. The physical pain started to appear more as the days passed. It wasn't just not feeling the legs. It was pain in places I didn't even know existed. It was as if the body had turned into a map of tender spots. And yet, the biggest pain was the one that had no medicine. When they let me see Miguel and Leah, not the way I wanted, not the way my heart begged, I remember the world went silent inside my head. I won't go into details because there are images I prefer to keep protected, even from myself. But I remember one thing. I kept waiting, irrationally, for Leah to open her eyes and say some funny sentence, as if everything had been a badly rehearsed play. Nothing happened. And then my brain did a strange thing. It started giving me memories, as if saying, okay, since you can't have the present, take the past to torture you and comfort you at the same time. I saw myself with Miguel in the kitchen on just another morning, him making coffee his way, too weak, and me complaining. Miguel, this isn't coffee, it's coffee tea, I said in the memory. And he answered with that annoying calmness. Love, strong coffee gives you anxiety. I am taking care of your peace. You aren't taking care of my peace. You are destroying my dignity, I retorted. Leah appeared running, with messy hair and a smile of someone who just woke up happy for no reason. Good morning, family, she announced, and hugged both of us at once, crushing us. Good morning, my love, Miguel said. Good morning, my sunshine, I said, smelling her hair. And I came back to the hospital with a punch in the chest because the memory was so vivid I could almost touch it. In the first week, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want messages. I didn't want visits. I didn't want to hear stay strong. Strong for what? Why get out of bed if I had nowhere left to go? My mom insisted on staying with me. She slept in an uncomfortable chair, with her coat folded as a pillow. Sometimes I woke up in the middle of the night and saw her looking at me in silence with swollen eyes. I pretended I was asleep because I didn't know how to console a mother who was losing her living daughter and at the same time burying her granddaughter and son-in-law. One day, a psychologist came to talk to me. She introduced herself as Dr. Camila. She had a firm but sweet voice. She sat close to the bed without rushing. Anna, I didn't come to fix you, she said. I came to walk with you. I thought that sentence was beautiful, and I hated it for that. Go where? I asked bitterly. Because I'm stuck. She didn't get offended. You're not stuck, she replied. You're surviving. I turned my face away. I don't want to survive. I want to go back. There was a silence. I know, she said softly. But going back, exactly as it was, isn't possible. And I'm not going to lie to you. What is possible is finding a way to keep living without erasing the love you have for them. I laughed. An ugly laugh without humor. Keep living. Without them. And without my legs. What a joke. Camilla breathed. You're angry. No. I'm empty. Empty hurts too, she said. I looked at her attentively for the first time. She seemed to understand the kind of pain that has nowhere to go. Have you lost someone? I asked. Camilla hesitated for a second. Yes. I wanted to ask who, but I didn't. I just felt a strange urge to cry again, not for what she lost, but for the fact that there is a kind of invisible club of broken people. After that, She started visiting me a few days a week. I didn't talk much. Sometimes I just stared at the wall, but she stayed there, without pressuring me. And, in an annoying way, that started to make me angry because her presence was a reminder that the world went on. The first day they took me to physical therapy was the first day I truly understood that my life had changed. Two professionals, a man named Raphael and a woman named Joanna, adjusted the bed, put a belt around my waist, and said they were going to help me sit up. "You might feel dizzy at first," Joanna warned. "If it gets too bad, tell us. If it gets too bad, tell us." As if I still had control over anything. When they sat me up, I felt the floor disappear. My body swayed, my vision filled with little dots. I grabbed the side of the table, desperate. "Breathe, Anna," Raphael said. I breathed, and for a second, I almost felt human. Until I looked down. My legs were there. I saw them. But it was as if they belonged to someone else, as if I were looking at two borrowed things left on my body without function. "Try to contract your thigh," Joanna instructed. I closed my eyes and tried. I swear I tried with all the strength I had. Nothing. I opened my eyes and felt shame rise like fire. "I'm trying," I said, my voice failing. "I know you are," she replied firmly, "and that's already something." But in that moment, something was too little. When they laid me back down, I started to cry. It wasn't an elegant cry. It was the cry of someone who lost the map of the world. My mom, when she saw me, tried to say some hopeful sentence. I cut her off. "Don't say anything, Mom, please." She stayed quiet, and I heard her silence as a plea for forgiveness. That night, I dreamed of Leah. She was in my old room at home, wearing the blue pajamas with clouds she loved. She was sitting on the floor, playing with Captain, and when she saw me, she smiled as if nothing had happened. "Mom, you took so long," she complained, as if I had gone to the market. I ran to her in the dream. I ran. I felt my legs working. I felt the floor. I felt the air. "Leah!" I screamed and hugged her tightly. She smelled like kids' shampoo and life. "Mom, you're squeezing me," she laughed. I loosened up just a little, but didn't let go. "Where are you?" I asked. She shrugged. "I'm here, duh." "No." I swallowed hard. Are you okay?" She looked serious for a second, as if choosing words no child should have to choose. "I'm not in pain, Mom." I felt my throat close up. "And Daddy?" Leah pointed to the hallway, and Miguel appeared with the same smile as always, as if he had just arrived from work. "Hey," he said, calm. "Are you crying again?" "Miguel." I went to him, still hugging Leah. He kissed my forehead, the way he did when I was anxious. "You did what you could, Anna," he said. "I should have told you to stay home," I said. And guilt came like a wave. Miguel shook his head. "Guilt is a dead-end place, and you don't deserve to live there." I started to cry in the dream. "I don't know how to live without you guys," I confessed. Leah squeezed my hand. "Mom, we're not leaving your heart," she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. And Miguel added, "And we're going to want to see you living, not just existing." I woke up with a wet face, racing heart, and a pain that felt newborn. For a few seconds, I almost believed it had been real. I looked around, searching for the room, the pajamas. Captain. It was the hospital. It was reality. I cried more, only now there was no hug. The next day, Camilla came and found me in silence. "Nightmare?" she asked. "No," I answered. "It was good. And that's the worst part, because I woke up." She nodded, as if she understood. "Dreams like that can happen," she said. "Your brain trying to integrate the loss. It feels like torture." "Sometimes it does," she agreed. "But it can also be a bridge. A bridge to where? To you being able to talk to them without destroying yourself. To you recognizing that love continues, even if physical presence doesn't." I wanted to say, "That's pretty talk." I wanted to. But there was something in the dream that had stayed. A sentence from Miguel, guilt being a dead-end place. I hated Miguel for being right, even in my dreams. A few days later, I left the hospital and went to a rehabilitation clinic. I didn't want to go. I wanted to lie down until the world ended. But my mom said something that somehow pierced through me. "Anna, I wanted to lie down and disappear too," she confessed. "But I can't lose you too." The word too made me feel a silent shame, as if I were about to become another funeral in her life. In rehab, everything was routine, schedules, exercises, assisted showers, training to sit, transfer, balance, and that whole word I started to hate, adaptation. One afternoon, Raphael placed a wheelchair next to me. "We're going to try this today," he announced. I stared at the chair like someone staring at a sentence. "I don't want to," I said automatically. "I know," he replied. "But you will." I almost screamed at him, almost. But I didn't have the energy to even fight properly. They helped me transfer to the chair. It was difficult, clumsy, humiliating. I sweated as if I had run miles. When I was finally seated, hands resting on the armrests, I felt something strange. I was taller than in the bed. I could see the window better. I could see the hallway. I could see the world, and that hurt. It hurt because the world was there, as if nothing had happened. People walking, laughing, talking on the phone, everyone's life moving on. I squeezed my eyes shut, holding back tears. "Anna," Joanna called softly. "Look at me." I looked. "I know it seems like the end," she said. "But this here is a means. It's a way for you to start moving in the world again." "I don't want to move," I spoke. I want them." Joanna didn't answer with a cliché. She just rested her hand on my shoulder and stayed there. At night in the room, I kept thinking about the word means. A means, not an end. It was during this time that I started talking to myself, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but I talked as if Leah were close. I would look at the ceiling and say, "Leah." Today I sat in the chair, and in my head came her voice, her way, playful. "And were you taller, Mom? Because I always said you're short." I almost smiled, almost. Then I would say, "I didn't want to go. I cried." And the imaginary Leah would answer, "Crying is like taking a shower on the inside, just sadder." And then I would cry, for real. With Miguel, I was tougher. I spoke to him with anger because it was easier to be angry than to accept the longing. "Why didn't you break sooner?" I whispered in the dark. "Why didn't you see it before?" And then came that memory of his voice. "We did what we could, Anna." I hit the mattress with my hand, powerless. Guilt tried to swallow me, but in some moments I remembered what he said in the dream. Guilt is a dead-end place, only. I still lived there. One day, during therapy, Camilla asked me something simple, and I hated the simplicity. "What is the hardest thing in your day?" I answered without thinking, "Waking up." She nodded. "And what is the least difficult thing?" I stayed silent. My first impulse was to say, "Nothing." But I thought of my mom. I thought of the way she held my glass of water. I thought of the way she combed my hair carefully, as if that were a way to keep me whole. "When my mom makes tea," I answered, "she makes it the same way as always, as if I were still me." Camilla smiled slightly. "That is important. It's just tea." "It's not just tea," she corrected gently. "It's a sign of continuity. Amidst the chaos, it's an anchor." Anchor. Another pretty word. And for the first time, I didn't want to break the word in half. The following week, there was a day when I managed, with help, to transfer from the chair to the bed with a little less difficulty. When I succeeded, Raphael smiled broadly. "See?" he said. "That is progress." I was going to say something sarcastic, but I stopped. Progress. I almost felt guilty for getting better, as if getting better were betrayal. At night, I spoke to Miguel in my silence. "If I get better, will you think I'm forgetting you guys?" And in my head, he answered with that calmness, "No. I'll think you're honoring us." Honoring. I carried that word with me for days. Honoring wasn't forgetting. Honoring was carrying the love in a way that wouldn't destroy me, but I was still far from that. I started having crying fits out of nowhere. Sometimes it was a song on the clinic radio. Sometimes it was a child laughing in the hallway, visiting someone. Sometimes it was a smell, men's cologne, kids' soap. And just like that, I collapsed. There was a specific day I remember well, because it was the day I felt that depression had a body. I was in the physical therapy room, and a mother came in with a small boy who had a splint on his leg. The boy was complaining, "Mom, I want to go home." And the mother answered, "I know, love. I wanted to too, but you need to get strong." The phrase, "get strong," hit me like a punch. I started to shake. My breath got short. Suddenly, I was crying, uncontrollably, in front of everyone. Joanna tried to calm me down, but I couldn't stop. I could only think, why didn't Leah have the chance to get strong? Later, Camilla told me something I didn't expect. "Depression after a trauma like this isn't weakness, Anna. It's a way for your body and mind to try to survive the overload." "I don't want to survive like this," I replied. "I want it to stop hurting." Camilla looked at me firmly. "The pain will change. It won't disappear like magic, but it will change. And you will learn to carry it differently." "When?" "One day at a time," she said. I wanted to hate that movie line, but I understood what she meant. I didn't need to solve my whole life that day. I just needed to get through that day. And that night, I did a small thing. Ridiculous, maybe, but I did it. I asked my mom to bring a notebook. She brought it. "For what, honey?" I ran my hand over the cover. "To write to Leah." My mom started to cry again, but she didn't stop me. She just kissed my forehead. I opened the notebook and, with a trembling hand, wrote, "Leah, today I hated the world, but I remembered your cloud pajamas." I stared at the sentence for a long time. It seemed like little. It seemed like nothing, but it was a thread. And I realized something. I could still love, even hurting, even broken, even without understanding why. And maybe that was the start of something. When I started writing in that notebook, I didn't know I was opening a door. I thought it would just be a sentence here, another there, like someone throwing pebbles into a well to see if it still has a bottom. But the notebook became a place where I could put what I couldn't say out loud. In the first few days, I wrote little. 2 lines. 3. Then I would close it, as if words were tiring too. "Leah, Today I felt angry at the rain. Leah. Today I saw a girl with a yellow raincoat and my heart stopped. Leah. I dreamed of you and woke up with a wet pillow. Miguel. I hate you for leaving and I love you for existing. Yes. I started writing to Miguel too, and in some strange way that kept me tethered to the world. Discharge from the clinic came on a clear sky day, the kind of sky that feels like a provocation. I was put in the chair, my things packed, my mom holding a bag with clothes and documents, and me leaving like someone falling out of a place without knowing where they'll land. My mom's car wasn't adapted. We had to improvise carefully, with help from the professionals. I remember the effort, my rigid body, the fear of falling, of feeling like a burden. I hated that thought instantly because I loved my mom and didn't want to become dead weight, but I did. When we arrived home, at my home, I couldn't breathe right. From the outside, it was just a common house. Gate, wall, a little plant I swore was bigger than before. But inside, it was as if the air was different, as if the house had kept the echo of laughter and now felt ashamed of the silence. My mom opened the door slowly. "We're here, honey." I looked at the hallway, the living room, the couch where Miguel slept watching soccer, the rug where Leah had picnics with dolls, the kitchen where I complained about weak coffee. The lump in my throat turned into a wall. "I can't," I spoke, without realizing. "Yes, you can," my mom replied, firm but with full eyes. "One step at a time." I almost laughed. One step at a time. What irony. She realized and corrected, half choking. One thing at a time. It was worse, because I understood she was also learning to speak without hurting. She pushed me carefully to the living room. I felt the floor under the wheels. I felt the weight of the chair. I felt my life creaking. On the wall there was still a photo of us, one of those photos we take on impulse at some birthday and then forget exists. Leah in the middle, making a funny face. Miguel with his arm around me smiling, imagining nothing. I kept staring at that photo as if it were a portal, and for a second, it was as if I heard Leah, "Mom, do I look pretty? Do I look like a princess or an alligator?" And I answered in a low voice, without realizing I was speaking, "Like an alligator princess." My mom looked at me startled. "What?" I blinked, coming back. "Nothing. I just remembered." She swallowed her tears and looked away, as if looking at the floor not to fall apart. "I fixed up your room," she said. "I put the bed lower to make it easier, and I took the rugs out of the hallway." I nodded, trying to be grateful, but I couldn't think about the room. I could only think about a closed door at the end of the hallway, Leah's bedroom door. "Did you touch her room?" I asked, voice failing. My mom froze. "No," she answered quickly. "I didn't touch it. I didn't have the courage." I felt a relief that hurt, relief that an intact piece still existed, and pain that this piece existed. "I want to see it," I said. Now? My mom hesitated, but didn't argue. She just walked beside the chair and cleared the way. When we stopped in front of the door, I felt my heart beating so hard it felt like I was going to throw up. My mom put her hand on the handle. "Anna, you don't have to." "I need to," I cut in. She opened it. The smell hit me first. Smell of a child. Sweet shampoo, clean fabric, drawing paper, the kind of smell we don't know how to name until we lose it. The room was exactly as Leah left it. The bed with the little star blanket, the books, the box of colored pencils, Captain on the shelf, as if standing guard. I stopped at the door, motionless, because it was as if I had entered a museum of my own happiness. "Leah!" came out of me like a whisper. There was no answer, of course, but the silence was so heavy it seemed like someone had just left and would be back soon. I moved forward a few inches, pushing the chair slowly. The wheels made a light noise. I saw a drawing pinned to the wall. 3 stick figures, one bigger, another bigger, and a small one in the middle. Above, written in crooked letters, "My family." I lost my breath. My mom leaned against the hallway wall and started to cry silently. I wanted to console her, but I was crumbling inside. I tried to say anything, any adult sentence, but what came out was a memory, as if memory had a life of its own. I saw Leah on that same bed, swinging her legs, asking seriously, "Mom, when people die, do they become stars?" And me answering, trying to be a good mom. "Some people believe so. Others believe they go to a place of peace. The important thing is they stay in our hearts." And Leah, with that way of hers, concluding, "Okay then, if I die, I want to become a star and a heart at the same time." I closed my eyes tight, opened them again. Reality was still there, still cruel. I touched the drawing as if I could feel the pressure of her little hand on the other side of the paper. "I can't sleep here," I said suddenly. My mom wiped her face. "You don't have to sleep here," she replied. "Her room can stay closed whenever you want." "But I don't want to close it," I spoke, confused, angry at myself. "If I close it, it feels like I'm erasing her." My mom came to me and crouched down, getting to my face level. "My daughter," Loving someone doesn't depend on an open or closed door. It depends on what you keep here, she said, touching her chest. I wanted to believe it, but right then I only felt tiredness. The first days at home were a mix of adaptation and drowning. I relearned small tasks as if they were mountains, brushing teeth sitting down, showering with a bench, putting on pants without using my legs, transferring from chair to bed with the right technique. Every gesture demanded concentration. Every achievement came with a poisonous thought. I should be doing this with Leah, rushing me from outside the bathroom, singing something. My mom tried to distract me. She made food, turned on the TV, opened the window, talked about the weather, and I stayed in my bubble, staring at nothing, feeling a sadness so dense it felt like a wet blanket. There was a day I spent hours staring at a glass of water. Just that. A glass. My mom came into the room and asked, "Do you want a drink?" And I answered, "I don't want anything." She took a deep breath and sat on the edge of the bed. "Anna, I know you're suffering, but you need to tell me when it gets dangerous." I looked at her, not understanding. She squeezed her hand on the fabric of her skirt, nervous. When you don't want to be here anymore." I felt a chill because I had already thought that, not as a plan, not as a concrete idea, but as a wish to vanish, to sleep and not wake up, to stop feeling. And that scared me. "I don't have the courage," I said, honest with a small voice. I wanted to disappear for a while." My mom hugged me tight, then promised me that when that urge comes strong, you call me, and call Camilla, and don't stay alone with it. I didn't answer right away, but then I nodded. "I promise." And that was the first promise I made after the accident. The following week, Camilla came back to see me, now at home. She arrived with a work bag and a patience I didn't understand where it came from. One of those days, she sat in the living room and asked, "How was coming back home?" I laughed without humor. It was like entering a place where I died, but I keep walking around. Walking, right? Camilla didn't correct me. She knew I needed to use the words the way I could. "Have you been thinking about the accident a lot?" she asked. I froze. Because I thought about it all the time. I remembered the headlight, the car sliding, Leah's voice, the mom. It hurts, and my brain tried to rewrite the script as if it were possible to change the ending. "I do," I answered. "I see everything. I keep replaying it. I keep looking for the exact moment I could have avoided it. And do you find it?" I looked at her, angry. "I find 1,000 what-ifs. What if is a machine that grinds people down," Camilla said gently. "You are stuck in what if because it gives the illusion of control, as if by finding the error you could undo reality." I clenched my jaw. "But someone made a mistake." "Yes. And the justice system will deal with that," she agreed. "But you cannot turn your entire life into an internal courtroom." Internal courtroom. I felt that phrase like a truth that hurt. Camilla proposed an exercise. "Are you up for an imaginary conversation?" she asked. "Not as a fantasy, as a way to organize feelings." I hesitated. "With whom?" "With Leah. With Miguel. However you want." My heart raced. "I already dream about them." "I know," Camilla said, "and you always wake up in shock. Now I want you to choose the conversation at your own pace." I trembled. "I'm afraid of forgetting their voices." Camilla tilted her head. "Anna, your brain doesn't forget like that, but pain changes the memory. The idea here isn't to erase. It's to allow the memory to bring love too, not just the wound." I stayed silent for a long time. Then I whispered, "Okay." Camilla asked me to close my eyes and imagine the place where I felt most me with them. Not the happiest place in the world, just a real place. I thought of the kitchen, always the kitchen. The kitchen was where life happened without ceremony. I closed my eyes, and, in my head, I was there. Leah was sitting on the counter, feet swinging, holding Captain. Miguel was leaning against the sink with his weak coffee. I spoke first, voice broken. "Leah." In my imagination, she turned her face and smiled in that way that made my knees weak before my knees. "Look at that." And I felt like laughing and crying at the same time. "Hi, Mom," she said. "You look like you're about to scold me." "I look like someone who misses you," I replied. Leah pouted. "Is missing someone like hunger?" "Yeah," I said, "except it doesn't go away when we eat." She thought, serious. "So it's hunger for a hug." I swallowed the tears. "Yeah." Miguel appeared closer, as if he wanted to protect me without suffocating me. "Love," he said, "say what you're not saying." I shook. "I'm angry," I confessed. "I'm angry because you guys left. I'm angry because I stayed. I'm angry because I can't move my legs, and I can't move my life." Miguel didn't get offended. He just looked at me with that calmness that, in real life, sometimes annoyed me. "And do you think feeling that makes you a bad person?" he asked. "I feel bad," I answered. Leah tilted her head. "Mom, you're good. You make pancakes when I'm sad." I laughed with a sob. "I haven't made pancakes in months." "Then you've been sad for months," Leah concluded. Miguel gave a small smile and told me, "You are in grief, and grief is a beast that bites us from the inside." I opened my eyes suddenly, coming back to the living room. Camila was there, watching me carefully. I was crying. Camila waited for me to breathe. "What did you feel?" she asked. "I felt that I can still talk to them inside me," I replied. "And that scares me and saves me at the same time." Camila nodded. "That is the bridge I told you about." That same week, I received an unexpected visit. A man I didn't know walked in with my mom, looking a bit awkward, holding an object wrapped in a plastic bag. He was tall, had kind eyes, and the manner of someone who doesn't know if they should be there. "Ana, this is Mr. Marcos," my mom said. He was one of the first people who stopped at the accident." My stomach turned. The accident. In my living room. In my house. Marcos spoke softly, respectfully. "Ms. Ana, I just wanted to know how you are doing. I thought a lot about you after that night." I couldn't answer. My throat locked up. He extended the bag slowly. I grabbed this from the car before they took it away. It was on the floor, wet. I kept it because it seemed important. I opened the bag with trembling hands. It was Captain, Leah's teddy bear, with the crooked eye, a bit more worn, but there. Real. It wasn't a memory. It was him. I pressed the bear against my face and inhaled the smell, as if I could pull my daughter back through the scent. I started to cry, loudly, without control. Marcos lowered his head, emotional. "I am so sorry," he said. "I am truly sorry." My mom put her hand on his shoulder, thanking him in silence. I managed to speak between tears. I asked her to ask someone to pick him up. I remember that. Marcos nodded. "I heard you speaking, and I thought, if I can save one thing, let it be this." I squeezed the bear tightly. "Thank you," I said, and the words "thank you" seemed too small to fit the size of the gesture. Marcos stayed for a while, said he was rooting for me, that he hadn't forgotten that night. Before leaving, he said something that stuck with me. "I've seen a lot of hard things on the road, Miss Ana, but I've also seen people get up in ways I thought were impossible. Not today, nor tomorrow, but one day." When the door closed, I sat looking at Captain in my lap, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something other than sadness and anger. I felt a thread of hope, small, almost ridiculous, but real. In the following days, I started taking Captain with me to some places in the house, not as an object, as company. I know that might seem strange, but it was as if I were saying to my heart, "Look, a piece of her still exists here." One Saturday, my mom suggested, "Let's go to the square, Ana, just for a bit of fresh air." My first impulse was to say no. The square had children. Children were blades. But I looked at Captain and thought about Leah saying, "Inventing is faster than learning." And I thought, maybe I needed to invent a way to live now. "Okay," I answered, without much conviction. My mom almost cried with joy, but she hid it. At the square, the sun bothered me. The noise bothered me. The laughter bothered me. I pushed the chair slowly, with my mom by my side. I felt my arms getting tired fast. I felt weak. I felt exposed. And then a little girl ran past wearing a yellow raincoat. Yellow. My whole body froze. My breath vanished. My mom noticed immediately. "Ana, look at me," she said, voice firm. I looked, but my eyes were stuck on the raincoat. I squeezed Captain, and inside my head, Leah's voice appeared, soft. "Mom, it's not me, but it's a girl, and girls run. That's what they do." I closed my eyes for a second and breathed. When I opened them, the little girl was gone, and I was still there. "Are you okay?" my mom asked. "No," I replied, "but I'm here." My mom smiled with tears. "That's already a lot." We sat near a tree. My mom bought a piece of cake at a stall, simple corn cake. I took a bite, and for a second, I tasted it and remembered Leah saying, "Grandma is going to make cake." The longing came, but this time it came with a little warmth, as if the memory had put a hand on my shoulder, not to knock me down, but to remind me. That night, I wrote in the notebook, "Leah, today I went to the square. I almost collapsed, but I breathed, and I took you with me in Captain." And below, I wrote to Miguel, "I'm still angry, but I'm trying. I don't know if this makes you proud. I hope so." The date of the accident was approaching. I didn't need to look at a calendar. My body knew. My mind knew. It was as if the air got heavier as the day arrived. Camila asked me, "Do you want to do something on that day?" I swallowed hard. "I don't know. Sometimes a ritual helps," she said. "Not to forget, to give the pain a place." "A place?" "Yes. Because when pain doesn't have a place, it occupies everything." I kept thinking about that. The pain really did occupy everything. The week before the day, I had a dream. I was back in the kitchen, Miguel making weak coffee, Leah drawing. "Mom," Leah said, without looking at me, "are you going to be mad at the rain forever?" I felt my chest tighten. "I don't want to be," I replied. Miguel looked at me. "Then don't be," he said, simply. Be mad at what is fair to be mad at, but don't hand your life over to a storm. I woke up with a racing heart and a small but clear decision. On that day, I wasn't going to spend the whole time lying in the dark. I was going to do something, even if it hurt. I didn't know what yet, but I was going to. The morning of the day arrived with a strange sky, half bright, half cloudy, as if even the weather didn't know which face to show. I woke up before the alarm, heart beating fast, as if my body remembered the accident with more precision than any calendar. I lay still, staring at the ceiling, trying to decide if I was going to keep my decision or if I was going to hide under the covers and pretend the world didn't exist. The first thing I heard was my mom in the kitchen. Pots, boiling water, the sound of life. I took a deep breath, pulling in air like someone pulling in courage, and called out, "Mom?" She appeared at the door, her face already tired from anticipating the pain. "Hi, honey." I swallowed hard. "Can you make tea?" She cracked a sad smile, almost relieved. "I will. Your way. Your way." And I thought that maybe there still existed a my way for some things, even after everything. While she made the tea, I grabbed the notebook and Captain. I leaned the bear on the bed as if he were sitting with me. I know it wasn't Leah. I know. But longing has its ways of breathing. My mom brought the tea and put it on the small table. "Do you want to say anything?" she asked carefully. I looked at the rising steam and answered the truth. "I don't know how to speak today." "Then we just stay," she said. Staying. I used to hate staying. I was about doing, solving, running. Now, I was learning that sometimes staying is an act of courage. Camilla arrived late in the morning. She didn't bring big questions. She brought presents. "Today is a hard day," she said, like someone who isn't trying to diminish it. I nodded. "I feel like I'm going back to that curve," I confessed, as if I were still inside the car. Camilla rested her hands on her own legs, like someone anchoring themselves. "Your body learned to associate the date with danger. It's common. But today you are going to teach your body that you are here, in the present, alive." The word alive gave me a shock. I didn't feel alive. I felt surviving, as she said. "Do you remember you said you wanted to do something today?" Camilla asked. My mom stayed silent, waiting for my answer. I breathed. Slowly. "I thought about going to my mom's house. I mean, your house." I corrected myself because my mom was my mom, but sometimes I still called that house my mom's house as if it were another place. My mom nodded. "We can go. I'll make a cake if you want." The cake. The cake again. The memory of Leah saying, "Grandma is gonna make cake," came like a hug and a knife at the same time. "Make it," I said. "But make it small. I don't want a party. I just want the smell of cake in the house. I want something warm in the air." My mom blinked fast, holding back tears. "Okay, honey." The day went by as if every minute had weight. I did what I could, got dressed with help, tied my hair, put on a blouse that Leah used to say made me look like a cool teacher. I didn't know why I chose that specific blouse, but I did. Before leaving, I pushed the chair to Leah's room. I didn't open the door fully. I just rested my forehead on the crack, as if asking for permission. "I'm taking you with me today, okay?" I whispered. And unintentionally, I heard her voice inside my head in that simple way. "Take Captain too." I grabbed the bear and put it in my lap. At my mom's house, the smell of cake filled the living room, a smell that seemed to cover the walls with a layer of memory. My mom played quiet music, old music, that I remember hearing when I was a child. I stayed at the table, hands on top of the closed notebook. Camilla sat nearby. My mom went back and forth from the kitchen, restless. "Anna," Camilla said, "do you want to do the ritual we talked about?" I felt my throat tighten. "I do," I answered. Before the courage fled, Camilla looked at me gently. "Then write a letter to them. It doesn't need to be beautiful. It needs to be true. Afterward, you decide what to do with it." I opened the notebook. My hand was shaking. The first word took a while. I wrote Leah and stopped. Tears fell on the page, leaving small spots. I breathed and continued. "Leah, today makes it 1 year. I don't know how the world has the courage to keep turning without you in it. I miss you like a hole in my chest that won't close. But I want to tell you that I went to the square. I saw kids running and I almost broke, but I breathed. I want to tell you that I still hear your sentences in my head, and it helps me. I want to apologize for not being able to protect you that night. And I want you to know that I love you the size of the universe. I'm trying to live, daughter. I'm trying. Even without really knowing how." I stopped to breathe because my hand already hurt. Then I wrote, "Miguel. Miguel, I feel anger and love at the same time, and it confuses me. I love you for having been my place of peace. I feel guilty for getting in that car. I feel guilty for letting you drive. I feel guilty for breathing when you didn't. But I'm starting to understand that guilt doesn't change the past. I wish you could see how much your mom, my mom, is holding us up. I wish you could see that I'm learning to transfer by myself. I wish you would tell me with that annoying calmness that I can still be me. If there is any kind of after, wait for me with patience. Until then, I will try to honor what we were. When I finished, I stared at the words as if they belonged to someone else, as if I were reading someone else's life. Camilla spoke softly. How do you feel? I thought. Tired, I said, but a little lighter. My mom brought the cake, cut a small piece, and put it on my plate. Then she put 2 even smaller pieces on empty little plates and placed them on the table, one on each side. I looked and understood. Mom, I started. She interrupted me with a trembling voice. I know they won't eat, but I needed to place them just for today. I nodded, swallowing the tears. It's okay. And then something happened that I didn't expect. I smiled for real for half a second because I imagined Leah seeing those little plates and making a joke. In my head, she appeared with hands on her hips and said, "Duh, Mom. Captain gets cake too." I almost laughed out loud. Almost. Captain too, I murmured. My mom and Camilla looked at me, not understanding. I lifted the bear from my lap and sat him in a corner of the table as if he were a guest. It was silly. A beautiful silliness. My mom cried, but this time it wasn't just despair. It was a cry with tenderness. Evening fell, and I felt the weight of the day soften a little, not because it hurt less, but because I had given the pain a place. A table, a cake, a notebook, a letter. When we got back home, I was exhausted. My mom went to sleep early. Camilla said goodbye with a hug and said, "Today you didn't conquer the pain, but you walked with it without letting yourself get swallowed." I stayed alone in the living room with the dim light, Captain, in my lap. The silence of the house still hurt, but it wasn't the same kind of silence anymore. It was a silence where I could breathe, and it was that night that I made a practical decision, a real-world decision. I called Raphael, the physical therapist from rehab, and asked for a recommendation for a place to continue training, now at home and with a firmer routine. When I hung up, I stared at the phone and thought, I just chose to continue. And that, for me, was gigantic. The following months weren't a straight line. There were good days, there were horrible days. There were days when I managed to transfer by myself and wanted to tell Leah as if she would clap. There were days when I saw a couple on the street and felt envy, anger, sadness, all mixed together. There were days when the rain returned and I froze in the middle of the hallway, cold, sweating. There was also a day when I needed to face a part of the accident I had been avoiding, the matter of the other driver. I won't turn this into a courtroom drama because the truth is that nothing there brought Leah and Miguel back. But there was an investigation. There were people talking to me. There were questions. I shook whenever someone said, "that night." Camilla helped me organize this inside me. "Don't confuse justice with healing," she said. "Justice might be necessary, but healing is another road." Road. What a word. And I said, almost in a whisper, "I'm afraid of roads." She nodded. "Then we will make peace with the fear little by little, not in a rush, but with truth." That was how one day I accepted getting into a car again, not driving, just getting in. My mom was with me. She opened the door, adjusted everything carefully and asked, "Are you ready?" I looked at the seat, the belt, the steering wheel on the side. My heart raced. "No," I replied. She waited. I breathed. I pressed Captain against my chest and imagined Leah saying, "Mom, courage isn't not having fear. It's going even with fear, right?" It was too much of a grown-up sentence for a child, but Leah, in my head, was always wiser than the size of her body. "Okay," I said, "let's go." I got in, shaking, but I got in. When the car moved slowly, I felt nausea, a memory invading. I closed my eyes. My mom spoke. "Breathe with me. 1, 2, 3. I breathed, and I didn't faint. I didn't scream. I didn't run away. When we reached the block up the street, I was destroyed, but I was alive. "You were very brave," my mom said. I shook my head. I just went. And for the first time, I understood that just going was already a victory. Sometime later, I found a support group, people who had lost someone, people who had been through accidents, people who somehow spoke the same language of pain. In the first meeting, I didn't say anything. I just listened. A woman said, "I feel guilty even for laughing," and I felt a shock because that was exactly what I felt. Another man said, "I thought I would die too, but I didn't. And now I have to learn to live without it looking like betrayal." Betrayal. That word pierced through me. When it was my turn, I swallowed hard and spoke simply. "I'm Anna. I lost my husband, Miguel, and my daughter, Leah, and I lost my legs, and I feel like I lost me." The group stayed silent, respectful. An elderly lady with white hair, with a firm look, answered, "You didn't lose yourself. You are looking for yourself. It's different." I cried. I cried because someone said a sentence that felt like a lantern. After the meeting, a young woman approached. "My name is Bruna," she said. I also lost my son in an accident. If you want to talk, I'm here. I didn't know how to thank her. Thank you, I replied. I don't know how to talk yet, but thank you. She smiled. No one knows in the beginning, and I went back home with a different kind of tiredness. It wasn't the tiredness of despair, it was the tiredness of having left the cocoon. One night, months later, it rained hard. One of those rains that make the world disappear behind a curtain of water. I stayed in the living room, listening to the rain hit the window. My whole body went tense. My mom came and sat next to me. Do you want me to close the curtains? I looked at the water running down the glass. I breathed. No, I said, not today. The silence stayed between us. The rain continued. I closed my eyes, and amidst the noise, I heard Leah, as if she were wearing her yellow raincoat, saying, "Mom, the rain isn't mean. It just falls." I opened my eyes, with tears running down. "I know," I whispered. My mom squeezed my hand. "What did you say?" I looked at her, and for the first time, spoke without shame of sounding crazy. "I'm trying to make peace with the rain." My mom nodded. "Then I will too." Little by little, I started having days where I could feel something close to peace, even with longing living with me. I started accepting help without thinking it diminished me. I started doing physical therapy with more consistency. I started taking care of my body like someone taking care of a house that caught fire but can still be rebuilt. And there was a day I consider a milestone. I was in Leah's room, the door open, the air coming in. I looked at the family drawing on the wall, and for the first time, I didn't think it's over. I thought, this existed. I touched the drawing and spoke out loud. "Leah, Miguel, I won't erase you to be able to live. I will take you with me to be able to live." And I felt an answer that wasn't sound, wasn't voice, wasn't magic. It was just a warmth in my chest, a kind of certainty. Love doesn't die the same way the body dies. That night, I dreamed of the two of them again in the kitchen. Miguel with the weak coffee, Leah with Captain. Leah looked at me and asked, "Mom, are you getting strong?" I smiled in the dream. "I am," I answered, "my way." Miguel came and rested his hand on my shoulder. "That is all we wanted," he said. I woke up crying, but it wasn't a cry of despair. It was a cry of longing with gratitude. And that was when I understood something simple and huge. Moving on, for me, wouldn't be forgetting. Moving on would be learning to live with the absence without letting it bury me too. Today, when someone asks me if I got over it, I don't answer with yes or no. I answer with truth. I am surviving better than yesterday. And on some days, I am truly living, and I keep going, with longing in my lap, with Captain sometimes in my hand, with memory as company, and with courage, which I discovered isn't a scream. It's a small habit, repeated on hard days. If you listen to this story up to here, I just want to ask you one thing. Don't wait to lose someone to say, "I love you." Don't wait for a scare to value the common. The common is what becomes a memory. And if you are going through a dark moment, please don't walk alone. Find someone. Talk to someone. Even if it's just to say, "Today is heavy," because sometimes that already opens a crack. Now, if this video touched you in any way, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below one word that summarizes what you felt. I will read it. I am still in process. There are still hard days, but I am choosing to stay one more day. And if you stay too, we win one step at a time. I'm Anna, and even with everything, I am still here.